trick you into thinking we can shut down this whole machine if we just cut the right wire.
He knew everybody that was very powerful,
forcing us to sift through the most horrific crimes imaginable, searching for that one missing link that leads to the top of the food chain. It's the red one? It's the blue one. I mean, they're saying they just met the guy socially. She says she just met him socially. He just met him socially.
To be honest, like if you're not in those files, it would be an insult because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
But we already have all the proof we need. Sometimes the best hiding place is right in front of our face. In the 1860s, when Thomas Nast first drew that cartoon of an elephant and a donkey representing the Republicans and Democrats, he was telling us this was a circus, a sideshow. We don't need to look into the Epstein files to see how the blue wires and the red wires all connect to the white and blue ones. Tad Stormer outlined in a paragraph our history of Epstein Islands. We don't have just one or two, we have hundreds, if not thousands of them. He says you can visit them, follow them online, buy their merch, read their books that celebrate their histories. They're called Mount Vernon, Monticello. America is an Epstein Island. And every election, regardless of which wire was plugged in, did that military-industrial complex shrink? Did the corporate monopolies weaken? Did a single architect of the Iraq invasion, of that torture program, ever go to prison? When they collapsed the banking system, did any of those executives ever spend a day in jail? Was a single billionaire's crimes ever exposed? We've been programmed to have a hypnotic response to colors. Why would this machine ever allow its chosen representatives to hold anyone to account? This circus is not a sideshow. It's a cage, and there's only one wire that needs to be cut, and that's the one that's connected to the back of our heads. Because we're the batteries, feeding it all our tax money, our consumer spending, our credit card debt, our mortgages, our car payments, our entire lives indebted and in servitude to an Epstein class. And this machine, this iron trap, is a ticking time bomb. To shut it down, we have to stop looking inside the cage and unplug it from the back of our heads. Never use Amazon again. Never buy another Apple product. De-Google. Take as much money as you can out of the big banks. Put it into credit unions. Only support small businesses as much as possible. Start using cash as much as possible. And step by step, we can shut down this contraption that was designed in the 1700s for extraction, exploitation, and permanent war. You want to vote effectively? Replace every single person inside this machine with a human being who is completely free from corporate money, who has a vision. What's the vision? Nothing that's mainstreamed into the back of our heads by a corporate cable. The vision was the one laid out by Albert Einstein, George Orwell, Carl Sagan, Dr. King, all three branches of the religion of Abraham: Aristotle, Plato, Buddha, St. Nicholas, Mr. Rogers, and Ms. Rachel. It's not complicated. Everything in this universe is temporary. If you remember science class, you remember the second law of thermodynamics. Everything is decaying. All the money that we'll ever make, everything that we build, it's all castles made of ice that will melt. All that will remain is the content. Was it good? Did it lift us up? Did it make life better for our human family and all our children? That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Welcome to the JJ Carrell Show. That's really all that matters. Are we kind? Are we civil? Are we patriotic? Do we believe in a God that has oversight and dominion over all of us? What happens when God's natural order is removed? Chaos. What are we living through today? Chaos. What do you think is going to happen to our country 5, 10, hell, a year from now if nothing changes? And I'm going to tell you nothing's going to change. So let's start talking about what's going to have to happen, because no one's going to get arrested. You heard what that gentleman said. Incredible 4 minutes. Assault is powerful. COVID, the greatest hoax. No one went to jail. 2008, housing crisis, economic downturn, explosion, the destruction of trillions of dollars. No one went to jail. Weapons of mass destruction, almost 3 decades of war in the Middle East. No one's gone to jail. AIDS epidemic. No one's going to jail. Narcotics flowing into our country. No one's going to go to jail. They opened the borders for 4 solid years. There's 30 million illegal aliens from third world shitholes. No one has gone to jail. They stole the 2020 election. No one even bothers to argue it anymore. No one has gone to jail. So why would you be so stupid as to believe someone's going to go to jail for raping, torturing, and killing children? It's a cover-up, and it will destroy Donald Trump. Do I want it to? No, because I believe his success is our nation's success. His failure will be the destruction of the United States of America. But he's covering up. He sends out Pam Bondi. She is incompetent. That's the nicest thing I can say. Kash Patel, incompetent. And Donald Trump, it's not a hoax, sir. And I don't give a shit about your friends. In fact, I can't stand the elites. I can't stand them. And you know what? They can't stand us. So no one's going to go to jail. What do you think is going to happen? I get that question asked quite a bit. What do you think is going to happen? Well, I think there's going to be a time, and I don't know. I cannot gauge the United States of America. I can't. Because I just don't know what the threshold of pain is. My threshold of pain is already eclipsed. It's already surpassed. I'm ready to go to war now. I'm ready to tear this thing down to the ground, and I'm ready to hang every single person that has committed treason against our country. Do I think there's other men like me? Absolutely. Do I think there's other women like me? Yes, I do. How many? That's the question. The real question is how many, and when that is, quote, enough, will those, and it will be a small group, it will not be a majority, it will not even be close to a majority, will those people swear a blood oath and allegiance to each other? If that can happen, then change could occur. And when I say change, I don't say that flippantly. I'm not saying we're going to come in and take over, say, the Department of Education. History has shown that when this time happens, and I'm not calling for it, but I'm looking at history and I'm saying we're no different. We're just humans. And history shows when that bell rings and that belief there is no other choice but to attack, when that happens, it's going to be destructive. There's going to be no more United States of America. That's the end result. And there's an argument to be made that the left and the rhinos, they want this to happen. They want to push us to a point where we destroy everything, and they own it. But I truly believe when that happens, they are going to, as always, misjudge. Because somebody is wealthy, because someone is in a position of authority and power, does not make them intelligent. It makes them very good at something minuscule in the totality of life. Does not mean they have wisdom, does not mean they have great decision making. It does not mean anything except they have power and they're wealthy. They're not the brightest tools in the shed. Case in point, Bill Gates gets an STD from hookers from Russia. We don't know if they're young. I'm sure they are. They're on Epstein Island. And he's asking Epstein, Dr. Epstein, for medication to, I don't know, cream, penicillin. I don't know. You can go to any urgent care in America and get a shot of penicillin. And he's asking Epstein. That's my point. They're morons. And the sooner that we understand that the people in the boogeyman costume, they're nothing but a bunch of impotent crybabies. They're afraid of their own shadow. They have no courage. They have no strength. They're like a pack of wolves. They're only powerful in their group. Outside of that, we'll just kill them. It's coming. How fast does this revolution manifest? I don't know. I'm just telling you that it's coming. I don't want it because I know on the other end is misery. But I know it has to come because I know nothing's going to happen to Epstein. And if you think that Epstein is the only, quote, Epstein, this is going on across the globe. It's going on right in our country. And the people that have the most power and the most authority and money are neck deep into it. And that answers a lot of questions to men like me that I have these discussions with men. Strong, intelligent, hardworking. And the question always is, how can I not get ahead? And I look at these guys and they get ahead. Well, the answer is, it's not work. It's not your work ethic. It's not your bad luck. It's not that you're in the wrong industry. They are in the industry of corporate corruption. They are in the industry of no bid contracts. They are in the industry of fraud, abuse, theft, blackmail, coercion. And you, being a righteous Christian man, would never partake in that shit. But they will. And they have. And they continue to do it. Because all of their riches are in this life. And I get told this quite a bit. These are not what your riches that you want, JJ. You want the riches in the afterlife. And my response to that is, of course, that's what I want. I want to spend eternity with God. But you can't convince me that I'm supposed to lay prostrate, subservient to the evil masters of the earth. I have to fight. How can you not fight? I've mentioned this before. My son and I were watching the new movie where the Russians come in and take over our country. It's the remake. And one of the Americans, to save his life, becomes a traitor and puts on the Russian uniform and becomes part of their army. And my son was about 10 years old, 11 years old, and he made me pause the movie. Red Dawn, the remake of Red Dawn. And my son made me pause the movie. And he said, Dad, how could anybody do that to their country and to their family? And I said, son, because there's a lot of people that value their life, their possessions, way more than their friends and their family and their country. And they'll do anything to keep it. And I said, but the problem is, son, no matter how much wealth that man gets, how much prestige and authority he gets, he will be trapped in a prison in his mind where he is a coward. And when you can run away, you can go anywhere in the world you want. You can fly anywhere. You can have as many women as you want. You can gorge yourself with the finest foods, but you can't escape your mind. You are where you are. And if you're a coward, you will be a coward in your mind and there's no escaping it. So you have to fight. I told my son, you have to fight no matter what it costs you. Because when you die, son, it doesn't matter if it's 80 years old or you stand up for something at 14. You're not going to be a coward. You're going to be a strong man. And the saying of that I would rather die standing up than ever die on my knees. Never, never will that happen to me. I'm going to play a couple clips just about this topic I'm talking about. But before I do, I need to show this video I saw today. It's about a minute and a half. Just to continually drive home the point that this is the America we're living in. This is the world we are living in, and we is so desperately in need of strong, powerful, Christian American men that will force us back into God's natural order. It is so bad what is happening in the world and in America. It is so shocking what we have had, what we've allowed to have happen, what we've allowed to happen to our children. To our children. This is how far the world has gone. This is how far America has gone.
Yo, you have to watch this.
Countries with the most missing children. Italy, 21,951 missing children each year. South Korea, 25,690 to missing children each year. Russia, 45,000 missing children each year. Canada, 45,288 missing children each year. India, 96,000 missing children each year. Germany, 100,000 missing children each year. United Kingdom, 112,835 missing children each year. United States, 460,000 missing children each year, with 2,300 children going missing every day.
You see that? Over 400,000 children go missing. 2,300 every single day. I've been through these numbers. The numbers are 400,000, 800,000 missing children every single year. Let's play the magic game of round numbers. The lowest number, 400,000. Let's assume it's not 800,000, it's 400,000. Let's assume that 90% of them are runaway teenagers that go back to their families. Let's just assume. Where are the other 40,000 children? That's an entire city. That's a mid-sized city in America. Where did all of the 40,000 children go to? Let's say that we are almost 100% wrong, 99% wrong. 4,000 children went missing, went into the ether. A spaceship came from the sky and sucked them up, never to be seen again. And no one gives a shit. No one fucking cares. Have you ever asked yourself why there's a department of or a agency called the DEA for drugs, ATF for alcohol, tobacco, firearms? Border Patrol for the border, ICE for illegals, Customs for goods coming and going, Department of Agriculture for the cows, chicken, pigs, and stuff that come from outside of our country, regulation, FBI for the Bureau of Investigation. And yet, not one agency for missing children. Have you ever asked yourself why? It's not like there's 40 children going missing every year in this giant country. We're talking 400,000 on the baseline. And there's nothing. Biden let in 550,000 unaccompanied alien children. Our government has only found 130,000 of them. Where did they go? And with the Epstein revealing how they're killing and eating and butchering, torturing, and sacrificing children, does it make sense now? Does it make sense where children could just disappear? Because if you think it's just Epstein, you're a fool. And if you think this is all just stopped because Epstein is, quote, dead, you're a fool. This is going on across the globe. It's going on across our world. It's happening here in America. It's coming to a head, people. I don't have to rant. I don't have to rave. I don't have to get all worked up. I'm just telling you. And if I seem reserved, I'm not. I'm not downplaying it. I'm not reserved. I'm not, well, okay, this is all that's going to happen. No. I just know it's going to happen. You ever have something in your life where you're like, okay, this is miserable. This sucks. But this is what's going to happen. And there's nothing you can do about it. Like nothing you can do about it. That's how I feel about what's happening to America. I can see everything transpiring. I can see the manifestation of it. And I'm looking at it down the road, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years. And I'm going, well, this is the outcome. I don't have the power to stop it. And the people in the power to stop it are part of the problem. They're inside the problem. They are the problem. And all the people that need to be doing something aren't doing anything. So it's going to end in misery. You can feel it. You can sense it. It's not a when. It's not an if. It's a when. When is this going to happen? I don't know. But it's coming. You feel it. And how do I know that it's coming? Because people are awakening. I'm talking about girls in their 20s that are oblivious to anything in life except their hair, makeup, and trying to meet their husband. They're wakening up to the fact that, dear God, the people that are in positions of authority and power, and to include young men, are beginning to wake up and going, they're eating kids, they're impregnating prostitutes and impregnating young girls that they rape in order to cook their babies and eat them. They're trafficking children amongst themselves, and they're ordering them, literally ordering the kind of child they want. There's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of children go missing every year. Think about what I just said. If I added all that crap up, all those countries up, we're over 1 million. So let's just say a rough number, 1 million. 1 million kids go missing every year, and nobody gives a shit. Nobody says anything. Nobody even cares. They don't even care. So this is coming to a head. This is going to happen. You may not like it. You may not like what I'm saying. And I honestly just don't care if you like what I'm saying. And I don't care about, you go through these times in your life where you really, you care a little bit. And then you get to the point you're like, I don't care about it at all. But you're going through life, and then somebody throws a tag on you, and they say, well, you're like this. And it kind of stings at first because you're like, well, I'm really not like that. But they see me like that. That's how I felt maybe about 9 months ago when someone said, I can't watch you anymore. You're blackpilling. I'm like, blackpilling? I'm not black. I'm not a black pillar. I'm not a doom and gloom. I'm not a negative Nancy. I'm just a realist. And it took me it took me a good couple weeks to try to navigate it. It wasn't like I was brooding over it, but it stuck in my crawl, and I had to kind of walk myself through it and ask the question. I mean, when people say things to you, you have to stop and ask yourself, if you're intellectually honest, hey, is that true about me? Am I that way? Then I have people I talk to that I respect, that I bounce ideas off of, and I work myself out of it. And I said, no, am I not supposed to talk about that Israel dominates our politics? Am I not supposed to talk about 3 decades of war in the Middle East cost us trillions of dollars, tens of thousands of lives, hundred if not millions of lives destroyed in America because of our soldiers come back destroyed, mutilated bodies and skin burns? Am I supposed to ignore that COVID was a lie and no one went to jail? Am I supposed to ignore the fact that they have stolen $40 trillion and I'm suffering financially because of these people and the theft they did? No, I'm not. And I'm not going to sit here in la la land and act as if everything's okay. Not going to do it. Not going to do it for you, or you. And I'm not going to do it to make me seem nicer to other people. You all can go pound sand. When this all dies down, or this country goes to hell, when I'm sitting on my porch and I'm watching it burn, no one's going to come to me and say, you didn't say it. You knew it and you kept your mouth shut. You didn't do anything. You had a chance to go back and work for federal law enforcement and you didn't. No, I did. I am. I don't remain silent. I speak the truth. And it's painful. I don't like it at times, but it is just the truth. And here's a gentleman that I came across, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, bro. I feel it. I feel you. And I like, this is one of the, before I play it, this is one of the reasons I love X, because the narrative is, we own the narrative. I don't have to listen to Tom Brokaw or some other guy with some bad hairpiece or some talking head on Fox News or whatever. No. I know that the people that are on X that I follow and that people that I stumble across, they have more intelligence, they have more fortitude, perseverance, determination than any of those morons that are in all the talking heads. This is why I like X. And burn it down.
And see this. If we prosecute everyone, the system will collapse. Let me be super clear about why that statement should make your blood boil. Because if the system collapses when criminals are held accountable, then what you're actually saying is that the system is built on protecting criminals. That is not stability. We're not keeping stability by not prosecuting. That's called rot, deep-rooted rot. And when someone in power says that out loud, they are not warning you. They are confessing. It's an admission that accountability is considered more dangerous than the crimes themselves. And that should terrify you. When Pam Bondi says something like that, the Attorney General, what she's really saying is this: we know what's in these files, and we're afraid of what happens if we follow the law. Think about how backwards that is. The justice system does not exist to preserve itself. It exists to enforce the law. And if enforcing the law causes collapse, then collapse isn't the problem, corruption is. And that's why I'm done with this left versus right bullshit, because these files did not just appear. They existed before this administration. They existed under multiple administrations. They were known, they were held, and nobody acted. That's not a party failure. That's power protecting power. So stop with this. Oh, aren't you upset now that you voted for Trump? First off, shut the fuck up. Here's why so many people don't want to engage with this. Because accepting it means that realizing that the guardrails aren't real, that the referees aren't neutral, and the system you were told would protect the innocent prioritizes its own survival instead. That realization breaks people. So they cope and they just blame the other side. They got to have somebody to point fingers out. They call it exaggerated. They tell themselves it doesn't matter, but it does. This is exactly why I said what I said in the last video. Once you accept that institutions can know about evil and choose silence, you understand why denial is everywhere, because the alternative forces you to stop outsourcing morality. It forces you to grow up fast. And that's where this conversation actually needs to go. I mean, here's the part that nobody wants to say out loud. If the system collapses under accountability, then the system was never there to protect you in the first place. So if it fails, you don't get to keep pretending somebody else is going to fix it. You don't get to wait for the next election, and you don't get to outsource responsibility anymore. You have to turn inward, because that's all you have left: your character, your discipline, your family, your circle. There's an old truth that keeps repeating itself. Hard times create strong men. But let me be clear, we are not in hard times yet. But if the system collapses, hard times are what comes next. And you have a choice. You can wait to be forged by chaos, or you can walk into hard times already strong. Because the men who survive what's coming next are not created overnight. They are built beforehand, brick by brick. And it is far past time for men to be men. Not ego, I'm not talking about posturing, and not loudmouth bullshit. Strength and discipline and accountability. Men who can regulate themselves when there's no referee. Men who protect instead of consume, and men who build instead of complain. Because when institutions fail, civilization doesn't get rebuilt by slogans. It gets rebuilt by men who can carry weight. And that's why a few of us are starting something called the modern exodus. It is not political. It is not anti-society. It is men choosing to step away from decay and toward responsibility. Local groups, real conversations, training the mind, the body, the finances, the spirit, men holding other men to a higher standard when nobody else will. Because if the system won't enforce goodness, then we will, together. If this resonates with you, comment Exodus, and I will send you.
This guy's spot on. He's spot on. And he's right about so many things in that short clip. But I want you to, let's just focus on one thing that I found fascinating, and I believe 100%. The men that are going to go into this war, and it's going to be a spiritual, violent, chaotic, and painful war, and we're going to it. This guy's not an anomaly. I'm not an anomaly. And what this man just said, that you are not going to wake up and be ready for war. You're going to have to build yourself up brick by brick until you're ready to go. So you know the war's coming. I know the war's coming. How are you preparing yourself? Are your finances in order? Are you physically fit, or if you ran 25 yards, would you have a heart attack? Are you lifting weights? Are you shooting a gun? Are you working on defensive tactics? Are you working on at least how to fight hand to hand? Are you? These are important questions. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I outside the bounds of reality that I think that this is coming to an end? That we can't continue on this path as a nation and survive? I just don't think I'm wrong. I don't think that it's as hyperbole. I don't think that I am misstating it or overstating it. I just think this is just factually true. And when I listen to men like this, and I listen to Andy Frisella and Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes and Tate and Candace Owens, when I listen to those people and a plethora of other people, how can we continue? Honestly, how can we continue? There is a void of justice, as I wrote in my title of my show. Can't believe I'm on 78 episodes of my new show. And my title is, Are the Men of America Going to Fill the Void of Justice? I don't know. I don't know when, but I know it will happen. Here's Andy Frisella, who I like. He's just saying exactly how I feel, how this other man felt, how we're all beginning to feel. And there's a void of justice waiting to be filled. And men like myself and Andy and that gentleman and a lot of my friends, we're ready to fill it. We're ready to fill it.
I think people should be enraged about this Epstein shit. I think people should stay enraged about it. And I think they need to let President Trump know through their voice, and not in the way that people do where they're just like, fuck this motherfucker. I think it needs to be like, hey, we demand this. And if you don't do it, we're going to fucking do it. And that needs to be the fucking message. Because I'm going to tell you right now, and I mean this shit. If they are not held accountable, I will be the first motherfucker out there because, dude, I'm not going to sit in front of and be judged by God. God can say a lot of things about me. He could say all kinds of shit, but one thing he's not going to fucking say is that you look the other way when fucking little kids and women and shit were raped and murdered and then you didn't do shit. I'm not doing that. I don't care what it costs me.
He's right. And I've said that myself when I was doing my documentary, What is Treason Trafficked, and going on literally 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours a day promoting it, talking about child sex trafficking before anybody even was mentioning it, not even knowing about what happened on the border, not even knowing the totality of the number, 550,000 arrested. It was over 1 million that crossed and lost. They can't find them. And it's overwhelming. It's vile. So there were weeks where I would do 5, 6, 7, 10 hours of interviews, like lined up back to back to back, talking about this horrific thing. People would bring me to Lincoln Day dinners and local party groups and like Republican women of Missouri, Kansas, etc., speak about this. And I didn't want to speak about it, to be quite honest with you. I don't like talking about children being raped. I don't like it. I don't like talking about child organ harvesting and child sacrifice. I don't like any of that stuff, any of it. But I remember making that one day when I came out of one of those days, and I'm like, I'm done. Like literally, I'm sitting in the desk, like in front of my desk right now with all my cameras and lights. And I remember getting done an interview and taking off my earpiece. And I just remember sitting there and saying, I'm done, man. I ain't doing this shit anymore. I am done. And then the image or hearing my son outside of my studio, that kind of rattled me. Because I was like, okay, man, your son knows what you've been doing. He's old enough. He knows what's going on. And if you don't get your head right, and later in life, when he becomes a man, and he's going to be faced with these issues, he's going to look at you, and either he's going to mimic you and be a coward, or he's going to rise up and do what's right, and he's going to look at you like a coward. There's no way I'm having my son look at me like I'm a coward. And I remember standing there and sitting there in my desk and thinking also, what am I, just like Andy Frisella just said, what am I going to do when I stand before God, naked with all of my sins, all of my flaws, where there's no way that I should ever be able to talk my way into heaven? Like it's an easy decision for God to pick me up and cast a man like me into hell. That I know that he could cast me into hell, and he's righteous in that decision. What I do know God will do is he will look at me and say, when it was ugly, you didn't cower. And for that, you're welcome to come in, but only because of that. I'm literally hedging my bets on this. And I know there's theologians out there or people that are very, very well versed in the Bible. I already know. I can't earn my way into heaven. I get that. But that's how I think. I think like my father. That was my father. My father was a devout Catholic, 6 kids, married to my mom. I love my mom with all my heart and soul, but she wasn't easy. 6 kids ain't easy. And that man would tell me before he passed away, I just want to hang on the outer rim of purgatory and claw my way into heaven. And I can't shake that. I know my dad's in heaven. But Andy Frisella is right. And I hope there's Christian men watching this, and Christian women, but more specifically Christian men, are watching this and understanding that you're being called to be a man and a warrior. And if you don't do it, you're going to have to answer. You're either going to be embarrassed and shamed and ridiculed for doing the right thing now, or you're going to have to stand before the man and answer some very, very, very tough questions as to why you didn't do what you needed to do. I got a guest that always cheers me up, and I always feel bad when I bring him in. Like, I always feel bad because and also on my show, every single time I talk about Sat 123, because there's really nothing the last 2 or 3 weeks. There has been anything really good to talk about, like uplifting. I mean, we could try to find those if you want, but it just ain't the way it's rolling, man. I don't know how you segue out of child rape and child sacrifice and needing to be a man into Sat 123. I don't know. Maybe it's just I just go cold turkey and just go straight into it. Because you have to be prepared, and that's one of the themes of my show is have to be prepared. So I bring Chris from Sat 123 into my show, and I love having him on because I love their product, and I really, to a point, to be honest, I like this guy too. Chris, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, mate. It's good to be back. Sorry I missed you last week.
I know. I have something for you. Let me see. I have to, before we get started, I'm doing my show. So let me just see. No, that's not what I want. Here, there we go. We're there. All right. We got unicorns and rainbows. Now we're calmed down just for you. I know that you're sensitive and you're a very nice man, not like myself. So that's my unicorn and rainbows to bring it down from child sex trafficking and my railing against men. So now we're ready to go. Now we're ready to go, Chris.
Well, you know what, mate, and I appreciate the unicorn and the rainbow. But one thing that is relevant, obviously it's horrible. It's a horrible topic. I can't imagine what it was like for you out there every day seeing that kind of nonsense going on. I mean, you're a brave man than I, but I'm glad there are people like you willing to do it. But I think one thing that is relevant that just came to mind while you're talking about that was the fact that, look, we're all under surveillance, right?
Yes. And
it's not just from the government and law enforcement. Much more worryingly, it's from those people looking to hurt us or our kids or our families. You know, a cell phone is a tracking device. And if bad people get a hold of your phone and they track you, and they do, as you know, they can find out not just where you are right now, but where you go, what your habits are. Right. And this is just, unfortunately, these cell phones broadcast all this information. It's great for catching criminals, but obviously it's horrific when criminals use this stuff against us and our families. So, you know, one of the products that we're very proud of are our line of Faraday cases. And if you drop your cell phone into a Faraday case, nobody knows where you are. No one can track you. No one can see you. No one can find you. Nobody, not the government, not anyone, because no signals can get in or out. And so your phone is literally shut off. Because look, just turning your phone off doesn't matter, right? No. People can still access it. It's still, even when it's off or on airplane mode, it's still remembering where you've been. And when you turn it back off from airplane mode, your whole path is revealed again. And this stuff is all archived. This info is archived by the phone company, by social media companies, by the search engines. Everything is archived. And that is a way. If you want to find someone, or you want to find a kid or a woman, someone you want to snatch, these are the tools that criminals are using. So, Faraday cases are one way to protect you from that kind of thing. And of course, the other product we're extremely proud of is we're very grateful you use it and talk about it, is the bulletproof backpack that also has a Faraday case on it. I mean, unfortunately, one of the horrific things that happened just a couple of days ago, school shooting in Canada. And, it's sad that this is an export of ours, but look, you are not safe anywhere, unfortunately, and your kids aren't. And look, the odds might be against it happening to you or your kids, but do you want to be prepared in case it does? And do you want that peace of mind? And that's why we built that product. So, a rough subject, JJ, for sure. But, those just a couple of products come to mind that we have at sat123.com to help protect you and your family.
No, and thank you for mentioning the transgender individual that killed 9 people, I believe it is, and injured 20 plus in Canada. And you're right. What's the odds of it happening to you? I think they're greater than you think, right? Like you say, well, my kid goes to Carrell Catholic school. Well, no one's going to shoot up a Catholic school. Well, no, they just did in Minnesota. Well, no one's going to shoot up a Christian school in Tennessee. No, that happened too. So, and it happened in public school. And that is why my son has the ballistic backpack. But I'm glad you talked about the Faraday the Faraday packs, because I want our audience to understand all the tools that law enforcement uses, the tracking devices, the LPRs, the cameras, all of that stuff that we can ping off the cell towers to figure where you're at. The bad guys are using that too. Absolutely using that too.
Yeah, they are. This technology, is very useful, especially for law enforcement, of course. But on the other side of it, it's just as useful for terrorists and for criminals and for organized crime. And they're buying the stuff. They use it. They buy cell phone jammers before they rob a house, so you can't call for help. I mean, like it's about all this stuff, and but people need to understand you can fight back with your own technology. There are ways to not be tracked. There are ways to protect yourself.
No, and I think that's great. So the Faraday pack and then the ballistic backpack. But the other thing that I want to talk to you about is the sat phone, because that's your bread and butter on your company. Sat123, it's in your name. Why is that so important to have a sat phone? Like, I'll give you one for my personal experience. My son is now in that probationary period of driving. So he's driving with me. But dude, within a year, my son's driving on his own. And we live in middle America. And as you've said, it would shock me the first time I heard this, that the vast majority of America is not covered by cellular towers. It's just not. So my son's going to be driving through middle America to whatever. If he goes 10 miles away from me, he's in farmland. What happens if he gets in a car accident and he can't get a hold of me because there's no cell? So I have sat phones in my cars and my wife, and now my son will have it. One, God forbid, I have to buy him a new car or a beater up car in about a year. He keeps telling me that's the car I think I want. No, dude. You're going to get a smart car that if you hit a squirrel, it's going to destroy the car. That's all you're getting. You're going to be able to walk away. That's it. But honestly, that's why I have a sat phone, is because I want that constant ability to have communication with my family.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And that's why it's the most essential tool we sell. Over 90% of this country has no cell service. Over 90%.
Incredible.
Right? And it's like they only put cell towers where people live, where there's a lot of people, so they can make a profit. If there's only a few people, they can't make money. They don't put a tower up. They're expensive. So yeah, it's like, look, here in Colorado, we go hiking a lot and skiing and off-road camping, whatever it is. But as soon as you get off the road a couple hundred yards, those bars go down to zero pretty much everywhere. And all it takes, this can protect you if you're attacked or whatever, but more likely, like you said, your car's going to break down, or you might get in a wreck, or you're going to slip and fall, break your leg, and you can't move. These are much more likely things, but they can be just as deadly if you can't reach out for help. And the satellite phone will work anywhere in the world as long as you can see the sky, even just to some degree, and sometimes even work inside. But like if you're out there in the great outdoors and you run into trouble, there's no cell service, a satellite phone will save your life. In the last 20 years, JJ, thousands of our customers' lives have been saved. Thousands. I'm not exaggerating at all. These are just the ones that write to us and tell us. But it is most often things like that. It's they're in the middle of nowhere, they get into a wreck, they need to call emergency services, or they're out in the great outdoors and they run into trouble. They have a medical emergency, and that sat phone saves the life right there. So it's not the sexy stuff we talk about all the time, but these are everyday realities. And you're in law enforcement. Mostly, car wrecks aren't big balls of fire or whatever, but people get injured, and an injury, if not treated quickly, can turn into death.
Absolutely. And I think it's just about being prepared too. Let's hope you never have to use it, but it's there, right? It's like not having batteries in your flashlight. and then all the house goes dark, electricity's out, and you have you're lighting matches and burning your fingers. It's absurd. We need to be prepared. Well, Chris, thank you for coming on. I'm glad that you like my unicorn and rainbows. It brought the temperature down and made it more. It's a good transition. I'm going to use that from now on. Everyone's going to think about Sat 123, our Sat phones, ballistic backpacks, and unicorn and rainbows. I think it's a win. It's a win-win, Chris.
Yeah, marketing department's going to love it, mate.
Pass it on. Pass it on.
Yeah,
have a great weekend, my friend. Take care.
Too,
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
All right. Bye-bye. That's Chris from Sat 123, sat123.com/JJ. He's great. I just love his accent. I love his passion. He's a good dude. He's just a good dude and a great company. And I'm always proud to have these partnerships, whether it be Pet Club, patriotsmade.com, My Pillow. Sat 123 is great. I love their company. I have their products. I endorse their products because I have them and I use them. Sat123.com/JJ. I'm going to play this next. I'm going to line it up for you. I saw this today and it really made me stop. I'm researching all the time. It doesn't matter wherever I'm at, I'm researching. And this popped up and it made me stop in my tracks. Literally. You know, when you hear something that is so true, and the first thing that a lot of things that times I see things like this, I think, damn, how did I not think of this? It's so in your face, JJ. How did you not? I mean, I've danced around it. I think about it, but I haven't been able to, in my mind, formulate a narrative, if you will, of what I believe. And what is it that I'm talking about? I'm talking about, this is obviously from a Russian or a Chinese perspective. And he's talking about this gentleman I'm going to show. And it could be AI, it could be not. It doesn't matter. The message is spot on. I want to read it. I'm going to read the quote off to the side. Quote, "The West is the toxic core from which the rest of the world must escape, and a new non-Western order must be built." I want to read that again because it's powerful. The West is the toxic core from which the rest of the world must escape, and a new non-Western order must be built. After everything we've gone through in this last week, how are you going to argue against that? When the LGBTQ insanity has swept across countries, devouring the morality. China doesn't want it. Russia doesn't want it. Hungary, Poland doesn't want it. It's only the Western nations. All the other nations are fighting tooth and nail to keep that garbage out of their countries. The West used to be the beacon of hope, the beacon of God, a beacon of refuge, moral clarity. Not anymore. America has become, and the West has become, a moral cesspool.
Because of the Epstein lists, the West is collapsing right before our eyes. All the conspiracy theories have not merely been confirmed, they have far surpassed every previous version imaginable. The West has revealed itself as a demonic system of civilization, at the very center of which stands satanic, cannibalistic sects that devour children, traffic women, orchestrate provocations around the world, manipulate financial markets and political processes, and perform black masses. In other words, only a tiny handful of Western politicians remain untouched by the Epstein network. So what are ordinary people in the West supposed to do now? Previously, if they didn't like the Democrats, they'd vote for the Republicans. If the Republicans disappointed them, they'd switch to the Democrats. But now, who are they even supposed to vote for? And what are we to do now when humanity has adopted so many Western practices in education, when we've come to believe in their culture, when we remake their films, when we still rely on their financial instruments? The situation for the world, for history, for humanity itself is truly extraordinary. We are essentially living in a global state of emergency, an Ernstfall. No one any longer has guaranteed sovereignty. Law, rights, agreements, everything has been voided. And with elites tied to Epstein's island, that should come as no surprise. For them, there are no red lines at all. You see, this pedophilic satanic elite can simply decide that Putin is evil, or that the Iranians are evil, or that Xi Jinping is evil, and then launch a nuclear war that destroys humanity. By the way, Epstein himself funded the construction of bunkers for that very elite. If tensions continue to rise and the collapse truly accelerates, if social processes start slipping out of these elites' control, because people are now waking up to the fact that they are governed by pedophiles and Satanists in every party and every regime, with only rare exceptions. Russia and China have long spoken of the need for a multipolar world. We were ostracized and condemned for it, but now it is clear we were right. The West is the toxic core from which the rest of the world must escape, and a new, non-Western order must be built. In this historic moment, Russia and China have a unique opportunity to become the true beneficiaries of the total collapse of the entire Western system. Because of the
Bold. Can't even argue with it. What am I going to argue? Let's play the devil's advocate. America's great. America's the shiny city on the hill. America, America, America. The West, the West, the West. Just America alone, 63 million aborted babies. We are the number one consumer of child pornography. We are the top nations on planet Earth that pays money to rape children. We have the largest exporter of pornography is out of one city, not state or nation, one city, Los Angeles. We're importing pornography. We're importing our fast food, which is poison, into the world. We're importing all of our satanic, sexually perverse crap into the world. And this man, AI or not, he is right. Is Xi Jinping, is Putin, are they the bad guys? You ever see that movie where there it's kind of almost a comedy on the Nazis, where one of them asks, are we the baddies? Yeah, we are the baddies. We are no longer the shiny city on the hill. Please don't even go there and try to. We have an entire civilization now built on, held together by pedophilia. We have people inside of inside of our government telling us, if I arrest everyone that's on Epstein, our whole system collapses, meaning our whole system is tied together with the death, the mutilation, the killing, the murdering, the raping, the torture of children. Dear God Almighty. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again as I end into the weekend. You know what? I'm kind of pissed off that I have to end the week into the weekend like this. But it has to be said. God Almighty, His Son, and Holy Spirit, that God that destroyed civilizations from the face of the earth, like destroyed them, multiple civilizations. That God is the God I believe in. I don't believe in the gay Jesus. I don't believe in the European Jesus of blonde hair, blue eyes, and little rosy cheeks and no muscles. I believe in the God that his son traveled over 20,000 miles on foot, has leather skin, deep, deep looking eyes, and a God that destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah and destroyed the entire earth because his children were evil. And if you don't think America fits that model, then you are a fool.